It was a cold evening. The sky was dark, and the rain poured like the sky itself was crying. Cars moved quickly on the wet roads, splashing water as they passed. People hurried by with umbrellas, trying to stay dry. No one noticed the small figure, walking alone. She was just a girl, no more than 12. Her dress was thin, torn at the edges. Her hair was wet and sticking to her face. She had no shoes. Her feet were red from the cold ground. She was shivering, her lips pale and her hands wrapped around her shoulders for warmth. She held a small piece of paper in her hand. It was wet and almost falling apart. On it, only one word could still be read: milk. She walked slowly, step by step, past tall buildings and bright shops. Her eyes were wide as she looked at the people eating inside warm cafes, laughing, holding hot drinks. She pressed her face against a bakery window and stared at the bread. Her stomach growled, but she didn't stop. Her little brother was waiting. At home, sick, hungry. She needed milk for him. That's all she wanted. The girl turned the corner and saw a large, glowing building. It was a luxury hotel. Expensive cars stood at the entrance. A red carpet lay at the door. Rich people walked in and out with smiles and fine clothes. She took one more step, but her legs gave out. Her knees hit the ground hard. She fell, face down, into a puddle. Rain splashed around her. Her body was shaking. Her small hands pressed into the cold pavement as she tried to get up, but she couldn't. People saw her. Some gasped. A few moved closer, but no one touched her. No one helped. Inside the hotel, a tall man walked out. He wore a black suit, shiny shoes, and a long coat. His hair was perfectly combed. He looked rich, powerful, and serious. His name was Mr. Kabir Malhotra, a billionaire known for building businesses, buying companies, and breaking hearts. People feared him, others respected him, but no one truly knew him. He had just finished a long meeting and was about to leave for his car when he saw the crowd. At first he frowned. He didn't like noise or chaos. "What's going on?" he asked his driver. "There's a girl, sir," the driver replied. She collapsed. Mr. Kabir stepped closer, annoyed. He hated delays. But as he moved through the people and looked down, he stopped. Completely. There she was, lying on the ground, soaked from head to toe. Her eyes were closed and her face pale from the cold. But something about her face, he couldn't breathe. His heart, which always stayed calm in business, skipped a beat. He bent down slowly, brushing the wet hair from her forehead. His eyes widened. He had seen this face before, a long time ago. He looked again to make sure he wasn't imagining it. The curve of her nose, the shape of her eyes. It was all too familiar. One of the staff members asked, "Sir, should we call the police, or maybe an ambulance?" But Mr. Kabir didn't answer. He just stared. "It can't be," he whispered almost to himself. "Not after all these years." The driver stepped closer. "Sir?" Mr. Kabir stood up straight. "Pick her up," he said firmly. "Bring her to the car." "But sir," I said, "pick her up." The driver obeyed. He carefully lifted the girl into his arms. Her body was light. Too light. Mr. Kabir walked ahead to the car and opened the door himself. He never did that, but tonight was different. He sat beside the unconscious girl and looked at her face again. His hands were shaking, and his mind raced through old memories, memories he had locked away. Rain hit the windows as the car pulled away. Back at the hotel entrance, the crowd slowly disappeared. No one knew what had just happened. No one knew the girl's name, but Mr. Kabir did. At least he thought he did. He looked at her one last time and whispered, "Who are you?" The car moved silently through the rainy streets. Inside, the air was warm, but the girl's body was still cold. She lay on the leather seat, her small hands curled near her face, still wet from the rain. Mr. Kabir sat beside her, lost in thought. He had been in thousands of meetings, signed billions in deals, and never let emotion control him. But now, he couldn't think straight. He pulled out an old photo from his wallet. It was torn at the edges, a photo he hadn't looked at in years. In the picture, a woman stood in a park. She smiled at the camera, holding a baby in her arms. That woman had once meant everything to him. Zoya, he whispered. Her smile was still alive in his memory. She had worked in his company years ago. Smart, kind, strong. They were close, once. Very close. But one day she disappeared. No goodbye, no message. He searched. For months. But she was gone. And now, this girl, this small, fragile child lying beside him in the car, looked just like her. Could it be her daughter? His daughter? The thought shook him. Drive faster, he told the driver. And call Dr. Sharma, tell him to meet me at the mansion. Emergency. The driver nodded and picked up the phone. Mr. Kabir looked at the girl again. Her lips were blue. Her eyes, still closed. She was breathing, but weakly. He took off his coat and covered her. Something about her pulled at his heart. Something deep. Something he couldn't explain. He wasn't just helping a stranger anymore. He needed answers. Meanwhile, in the girl's mind, in her half-sleep she dreamed. She saw her little brother, coughing in a dark room. She heard her mother's voice telling her to be brave. She saw a bakery window full of bread and remembered how hungry she felt. Then she saw a man's face, sharp, serious, but not cruel. She felt warm for the first time in days. Back in the car, they reached the mansion, a huge building surrounded by tall gates and guards. The car drove straight to the entrance. Mr. Kabir jumped out first, opened the back door, and gently lifted the girl in his arms. She was still so light. He held her close and walked quickly inside. The staff gasped. They had never seen him like this. Prepare a warm room, he ordered. Clean towels, hot soup, now. Dr. Sharma, an old family doctor, rushed in minutes later. He checked her pulse, listened to her heartbeat, and looked serious. She's exhausted, the doctor said. Cold, starving, but no broken bones, just no strength left. Will she be okay? Kabir asked, trying to hide the worry in his voice. Yes, but she needs rest, food, care. She's been out there too long. Kabir nodded. She'll get all of that, and more. He stood at the door and watched as the staff brought warm blankets and clean clothes. They moved quickly, under his silent gaze. Hours passed. Night turned to morning. The girl opened her eyes slowly. The ceiling above her was white and smooth. The bed under her was soft. She had never felt such comfort before. She sat up slowly and looked around. There were books on the shelves, curtains blowing gently in the breeze, and a tray beside her with food. She couldn't believe it. Was this a dream? Then the door opened. Mr. Kabir stepped inside, holding a cup of tea. He didn't smile, but his eyes were soft. You're awake, he said quietly. The girl stared at him, confused. Where am I? She asked. In my home, he replied. You fainted in the rain. I brought you here. She looked down. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cause trouble. You didn't, he interrupted. What's your name? Zara, she whispered. His heart jumped. Zara, too close to Zoya. Where's your family? He asked. I only have my little brother, she said. Mama, she passed away last year. Mr. Kabir stood still, trying to breathe. His world was shifting. And your father? He asked. Zara shook her head. I never met him. Zara sat on the bed, her fingers tightly holding the warm blanket. She didn't know if she should trust this place, or the man who had brought her here. Everything was too clean, too quiet, too big. The food smelled good, but she didn't touch it. She kept hearing her mother's voice in her head. Never take gifts without knowing what they cost. Just then, a gentle knock came at the door. It opened slowly. A kind-looking lady with glasses stepped inside. She had a tray in her hands. I'm Auntie Mira, the woman said with a smile. I help take care of this house. Zara didn't reply. You're safe here, Mira said softly. Mr. Kabir asked me to bring you breakfast. Zara's eyes filled with tears. She hadn't heard kind words in so long. Her heart wanted to believe it. But her mind still remembered the cold streets, the yelling shopkeepers, and the days she went without food. Why? Why is he helping me? She finally asked. Mira looked at her with warmth. Maybe you remind him of someone. Meanwhile, in another room, Kabir sat in his study. The rain had stopped, but his thoughts were still stormy. He looked again at the old photo of Zoya, the woman he had once loved. And then he looked at Zara's face in a picture his staff had taken for records. The resemblance was striking. The same eyes, the same curve in the smile. He couldn't shake the feeling. He picked up the phone. Find out everything you can about a girl named Zara, he ordered. Mother, Zoya, no father listed. Search hospitals, orphan records, anything. His voice was calm, but inside he was shaking. Could it be? Did Zoya keep my child a secret? He stood and walked to the window, staring at the garden below. Back in Zara's room, after Mira left, Zara finally took a bite of the warm toast. Her stomach growled in thanks. She hadn't eaten this well in months. She walked to the window and looked outside. The mansion had a huge garden, with green grass and colorful flowers. It didn't feel real. Suddenly, something caught her eye, a photo frame on the side table. She picked it up slowly. It was a picture of a woman, Zoya, her mother. Zara's eyes widened. Her breath caught. How does he have this? Tears filled her eyes. She hugged the frame tightly. Then the door opened. Mr. Kabir entered slowly. He saw her holding the photo. Their eyes met. You know her? He asked. Zara's lips trembled. That's my mother. His face went pale. She was my... He stopped himself. He sat down. Zara stared at him. How do you know her? I met her long ago, he replied slowly. She never told me. She had a daughter. She never talked about anyone, Zara whispered. Only said my father was gone. Kabir rubbed his hands together. Where is your brother? With a neighbor, she said. We couldn't pay rent. So, I came out here to find food, a job, anything. And your mother, when did she pass away? Zara lowered her head. Last winter, she got sick. I really tried to save her. Kabir felt his throat tighten. The more she spoke, the more he was convinced. This wasn't just a poor girl. This was his girl, his blood, but he needed proof. That evening, one of his men returned with documents, hospital records, old photos, Zoya's last known address. Everything pointed to one truth. Zoya had left the city years ago. She had raised Zara alone. She had never married. And the timelines all matched. There was no doubt now. Zara was his daughter. Zara woke up the next morning to the soft sound of birds singing outside the window. For a moment, she forgot everything. No hunger, no cold, no fear. Then she sat up, remembered where she was, and her heart started to race. Was this real? Was she still dreaming? She looked around the room, the clean sheets, the sunlight spilling through golden curtains. Her old life felt so far away now. She got up slowly and walked toward the door. She didn't know if she was allowed to go outside. But she wanted answers. She needed to know why the billionaire, this stranger, was helping her. Downstairs, Kabir stood in his study, holding a letter. It was Zoya's handwriting. He had asked his staff to search her old apartment. They found it behind a broken drawer. It was addressed to no one, but the message was clear. If you find this, and if Zara is ever alone, take care of her. She's yours too. Kabir couldn't move. His fingers tightened around the paper. She had known. She had tried to tell me. He felt guilt like never before. He had spent years building buildings, companies, wealth. But he had missed his own daughter's life, her birthdays, her first steps, her school days. He had missed it all. Zara entered the room quietly. He turned. Their eyes met again. She looked unsure. Am I allowed to be here? She asked softly. Kabir gave a small nod. This is your home now. You can go wherever you like. She hesitated. Then she looked down and asked, Why are you helping me? There was silence. He looked at the letter in his hand, but he didn't show it to her. Instead, he said, "Because someone I cared about once asked me to protect you." Zara looked confused. "My mother." He nodded, her eyes filled with tears again. "She never said she knew anyone rich. She never told me about you." Kabir knelt down beside her. "Sometimes people hide pain. Maybe she was trying to protect you from her past." Zara nodded. Slowly, but a deep sadness stayed on her face. Later that day, Zara explored the house. She found the library, the garden, and a room full of toys, clearly not touched in years. She sat on the floor and picked up a stuffed bear. Suddenly, Mira walked in with a smile. "Would you like to visit your brother today?" Zara's eyes lit up. "Yes, please, I miss him." Kabir stood nearby. He had arranged everything. A car was ready. As they drove to the neighbor's house, Zara held the teddy bear in her arms. When they arrived, her little brother Ali came running out. "Zara," he cried. She ran to him, hugged him tightly. "I found us a safe place," she whispered. "And food. Real food." Kabir stood at a distance, watching. Something broke inside him. "That should have been me. I should have raised them." Ali noticed the man and whispered, "Who is that?" Zara turned. "Someone who helped me when I fell." Ali smiled. "Then he's a good man." That evening, back at the mansion, Zara and Ali sat at the dinner table. For the first time in years, they ate until their stomachs were full. Ali laughed. Zara smiled. Kabir watched quietly, but his heart still ached. He wanted to say it. "I'm your father." But he couldn't. Not yet. He was scared. Scared she would hate him for being absent. Scared she would not believe him. Scared she would leave. Zara sat in bed, the photo shaking in her hands. Her mother's handwriting. The man in the picture. It was him. The man who had saved her. The one who gave her food. The one who looked at her like he knew her. She didn't sleep that night. A storm raged quietly inside her heart. Was he really her father? Why didn't he tell her? Was he ashamed? Was she not enough? In the early morning, Zara walked through the, quiet mansion. She found Mira in the kitchen making tea. "Where is he?" Zara asked. Mira looked at her for a moment, then pointed to the back garden. "He sits there sometimes, when his thoughts are heavy." Zara walked outside. The sun was just rising. The grass was wet with dew. Birds flew quietly in the sky. Kabir sat alone on a bench, a cup of tea untouched beside him. She walked up slowly. He didn't look at her, but he knew she was there. "I saw the photo," she said. He froze. Zara's voice shook. "Why didn't you tell me?" Kabir didn't answer at first. Then he sighed. "Because I was afraid." "Of what?" "That you'd hate me." Zara blinked. "I didn't know about you," he continued. "Not until your mother was already gone." Zara looked away, tears filling her eyes. "She never told me about you." "She wanted to raise you herself," Kabir said softly. "She was strong, brave." Zara sat down next to him. "I used to ask her if I had a father. She would smile and change the subject." Kabir looked at her. Maybe she thought she was protecting you from the pain. They sat in silence. Zara wiped her eyes. "Do you want me now?" she asked in a whisper. Kabir's heart broke. He turned fully toward her. "I've never wanted anything more in my life." She looked up at him. His eyes weren't cold like before. They were soft, full of regret and hope. He opened his arms slowly. She leaned forward and hugged him tightly. For the first time, they both felt something they had missed for so long. Family. Later that day, Kabir gathered the household. Zara stood by his side. Her little brother Ali was beside her, holding her hand. "I want everyone to know," Kabir said. "This is my daughter. And this," he placed a hand on Ali's shoulder, "is my grandson." The staff gasped. Mira smiled, eyes full of tears. Zara blushed, unsure how to feel. But inside, Something warmed. She wasn't invisible anymore. She wasn't alone. The news spread fast. Reporters waited outside the mansion. People talked, but Kabir didn't care. He took time off from work. He stayed home. He listened to Zara talk about her dreams, her drawings, the stories she once made up to keep her brother entertained during cold nights. He even helped her register for school again. Ali started seeing a doctor for his cough. He was healing. They were healing. But peace didn't last long. One day, Zara went with Mira to the market. As they walked past a quiet alley, someone grabbed Zara's arm. She turned, her eyes wide. A man with a rough beard and cold eyes. Long time. "No, see, little girl," he hissed. Zara froze. Her lips trembled. You?" He leaned in closer. "You think living in a rich house means you're safe now?" Zara tried to pull away, but he gripped tighter. "Tell your father he owes me. He took something that belonged to me." Zara couldn't sleep again. The man's face haunted her. His cold grip, his threatening words. He took something that belonged to me. What did he mean? She sat beside her little brother, watching him sleep. He looked peaceful, hugging the soft toy Kabir had bought him. But Zara felt anything but safe. The next morning, she went to Kabir's study. He looked up from his laptop and smiled. "Good morning, Papa," she said quietly. "I need to tell you something." The smile disappeared from his face. She told him everything, the market, the alley, the man's face, his voice. Kabir listened silently. When she finished, his hands were clenched. "I know who that is," he finally said. Zara's eyes widened. "Who?" Kabir stood up slowly. "His name is Rafiq. Years ago, your mother came to me. Hiding. From him." Zara blinked. "Hiding?" Kabir nodded. "He was dangerous, controlling. He claimed to love your mother, but he hurt her." Zara felt her stomach turn. "He was obsessed," Kabir continued. "When she left him, she was pregnant." "With you?" Zara's heart stopped. "Wait, are you saying—" "No," Kabir said quickly. "You're my daughter, Zara. I took the test when I found you. You are mine. But Rafiq thought you were his. He never let her go." Zara stared at the floor. "So, he's back. Because of me?" Later that day, the mansion's security was doubled. Guards stood at the gates. Ali wasn't allowed outside. Kabir filed a complaint with the police, but they couldn't do anything until Rafiq was caught. Zara tried to stay calm, but fear crept in. Every sound outside made her jump. Every shadow near the window made her heart race. That night she sat alone on the balcony. The stars were out, quiet and far away. She thought about her mother. "Why didn't you tell me all this?" she whispered into the night. "Why did you carry all the pain alone?" A soft voice answered. "From behind. She didn't want to burden you. It was Mira. She was proud even when she was hurting." Zara nodded slowly. "I want to be strong like her," she said. "You already are," Mira replied gently. Suddenly they heard shouting downstairs. Zara and Mira rushed to the main hall. The front doors were open. The guards had caught someone trying to sneak in. Zara's heart pounded as she pushed through the crowd. It was him, Rafiq. His clothes were dirty. His eyes were wild. "Let me go," he shouted. "She's mine. Her mother was mine." Zara stepped back, trembling. Kabir walked forward, calm but fierce. "She was never yours," he said. "And Zara will never be either." The police arrived moments later. Rafiq was dragged away, still screaming. But before he left, he looked straight at Zara and said something that sent chills down her spine. "She doesn't know the whole truth. Ask her about the night she left me." That night, Zara sat in bed with a million thoughts spinning in her head. Kabir came in and sat beside her. "He's gone now," he said. "You're safe." Zara looked at him. "But is that really everything? Is there more?" Kabir didn't answer immediately. Then he pulled out an old envelope. "This came with your mother's things. I never opened it." Zara took the envelope. Her name was written on the front, in her mother's handwriting. Zara held the letter tightly in her hands. The paper was old, a little yellow around the edges. Her mother's handwriting was neat, soft, but every word felt heavy. Kabir sat beside her, watching her closely. "Read it out loud," he said gently. Zara took a deep breath. "My dearest Zara, if you are reading this, I am no longer by your side, but I want you to know you were the light of my life. Every pain I went through was worth it because I had you. There's something you deserve to know. Something I never had the courage to tell you." Zara's hands trembled. She looked at Kabir, then continued. "Before I met Kabir, I was married to a man named Rafiq. At first, he was kind. He said the right things. But slowly, I saw the truth. He didn't love me. He wanted to own me. When I became pregnant, I realized I had to run. He said terrible things about the child, about you. He didn't want a daughter. He wanted power. I ran to the only man who ever truly cared, Kabir. He welcomed me with no questions, gave me a home, and gave you his name. He became your real father, not by blood, but by love." Zara stopped, her eyes full of tears. Kabir reached over and placed a hand on her shoulder. "She loved you so much," he whispered, but the letter wasn't over. "If Rafiq ever finds you, do not listen to him. He may say you are his, but you are not. I did a DNA test before. I died. Kabir is your real father. Rafiq only wants control. Burn this letter if you must, or keep it to remind yourself. You are not his. You never were. Live your life in love, not fear. With all my heart, your mama." Zara folded the letter and held it against her chest. She didn't say a word. She just cried. The next morning, the air felt different, peaceful. For the first time in days, Zara smiled. She walked out into the garden where Kabir was sipping tea. He looked up. "Everything okay?" Zara nodded. "I just wanted to say, thank you for loving me like your own." Kabir stood and hugged her tightly. "You are my own, always." 1 week later, the police called. Rafiq was being sent far away. No chance of him returning. The case was closed. Zara still had nightmares sometimes, but now she had the truth, and a family who stood by her. Months passed. Zara started school. Again. She joined art class, made new friends, and smiled more often. Ali was growing fast, always asking questions and hugging his sister tightly. Kabir took them both on a holiday, someplace their mother had always wanted to visit. As they stood by the sea, Zara whispered into the wind, "We're okay now, Mama." 1 year later, on Zara's birthday, she opened a small box Kabir gave her. Inside was a silver necklace with a tiny heart-shaped pendant. He smiled and said, "It belonged to your mother. Now it belongs to you." Zara put it on, tears in her dew eyes. She wasn't the poor girl in the rain anymore. She was a daughter, a sister, a survivor, and her story was just beginning.